80% of the results come from 20% of the efforts is the basic principle. So that can relate to highways. Where does most of the traffic exist? 80% of the traffic exists on 20% of the roads. Who does most of the work in a company? 20% of the people do 80% of the work.
Hey everyone, it's Jen Foster here with the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. We're really excited today to have an expert here to help all of us business owners and entrepreneurs to know when to hire virtual assistants to get help so that we're not doing it all ourselves. And we want to welcome Barry Coziahr here today. He's actually trained over 10,000 small business owners and delivered countless seminars and workshops in the United States about virtual assistants and helping businesses grow. So welcome, Barry.
Hi. Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah, I've trained a lot of businesses, trained them on marketing, virtual assistants, basically how to be more organized, how to handle their life, sometimes how to handle their wife. Yeah, I've done all sorts of workshops and trainings, both in the for-profit, nonprofit world.
Awesome.
And it's pretty awesome.
Well,
Like there was actually one year, I actually did 140 lectures in 14 months.
wow, that's a lot. Well, how did you get
I
into
was really
this industry? Like, how did you get into teaching people and helping people with businesses?
Oh, wow. The teaching people thing's kinda interesting. Basically, I didn't really do great in school. I was a bad student. I didn't go do my homework as instructed, and then I didn't know why, and then I found out I had problems studying after I got out of school, so I taught myself how to study with the help of some incredible nonprofits I ended up working with. And then I just went to the library and went on to special courses through some of those nonprofits. It was incredible. I really enjoyed it. And I've learned so much. I had Donald Miller on my desk. I got books on my desk. I got another book over here about client retention on my desk. It's like I'm a reader now.
Mhm.
Since I was like, I mean, I graduated high school when I was 18 and then or 17, 18, whatever. And then within a couple of years, I was, what do I do? I have to learn to be able to do new things. And so I solved it and I became a learner, a self teacher. And then I ended up doing lectures and I realized what I was primarily doing with lectures. I started that when I got into sort of a nonprofit career. I found out with lectures where I was primarily doing teaching people. I did
Mhm.
lectures, workshops, talks, podcasts. It's all about educating. My whole idea was I really enjoyed educating people. And one of my big purposes is to help people expand and get along better
Mm.
with no in any area of their life. And so I've had that purpose for a long time.
That's a great purpose. I think it's important to have a purpose behind your business, not just, hey, I want to make money, but the purpose of helping others, teaching others to grow and communicate and how to leverage
Right.
themselves, right? I mean, we really can't really grow if we're just doing it all ourselves.
Right. In fact, it's illegal to actually make money. You can't have a printing press.
Right.
You can't just make money. You actually have to get a product out there for people and give them a result in exchange for the money, right? A product, a result, something anyway, but yeah, to your point, you're perfectly correct.
So, as a business owner, how do you know when to hire? Like, I know sometimes I feel like, you put all the different hats and you're trying to do it all yourself. And when do you know it's like the right time to get a virtual assistant, to get some help and to actually hire?
Well, it's like the right time to hire is yesterday. Always, right? In my opinion, it really is. Obviously there's things, the first thing you hire is a teacher, right? You
Mm-hmm.
hire a teacher to teach you. Donald Miller, yeah, he's great. You also wrote Story Brand. I haven't checked this book out yet, but kind of interesting.
Hmm.
I'm going to read it. And you find a teacher and you hire them by buying their book,
Right.
$10.
Yeah.
If you can't afford that, you got a problem, right?
Right.
You hire your first assistant, right? And get their written word as quickly as you can. I wish I would have hired someone back in high school when I was doing that, right? I could have used those years better. So the right time to hire assistant is yesterday. But if you didn't do it yesterday, hey, do it today so you can make tomorrow, right?
Right.
And then when to broaden that too, it's like an assistant could take the work off your plate. A virtual assistant should help you take work off your plate.
Mhm.
Like the 80-20 principle applies, right? So if people don't know what the 80-20 principle is, I can explain that if you
Yeah.
want me
Go
to.
ahead. For the new business owners, I'm sure all the seasoned ones know it, but go ahead and explain it.
Good. So yeah, and some of the new ones might even know too. So, but basically, for anybody who wants a refresher, basically, 80% of the results come from 20% of the efforts. Is the basic principle. So that can relate to highways. Where does most of the traffic exist? On 20%, 80% of the traffic exists on 20% of the roads. Who does
Mhm.
most of the work in a company? 20% of the people do 80% of the work. Who owns the most? It also came from this guy, this Italian guy who created this principle because he discovered that 80% of the property in this country was owned by 20% of the people. And then he went and looked in his garden and he found that 80% of the produce came from 20% of his plants. And it's not always 80-20 exactly. It could be 95-5,
Mhm.
where 95 comes from 5%, could be 35-65. But the idea is that there's always some key thing that produces a majority of the results. Unfortunately, it also goes the other direction with bad things. Like you can have 20% of the people causing 80% of the problems in the world,
Right.
which should be a thing too. That's not good.
No.
But let's not focus on that, right? The good stuff is that there's also this great, amazing people, like out of every, 20 or so people, around 20 people, there's one person who's incredible, who helps all of them get where they want to be, right?
Yeah.
And that's a lot of people on there's a lot of those people on earth. You put, 40 people in a room, there's going to be two big leaders who are just going to like crush it.
Yeah.
They're going to basically, and maybe more than that, there's going to be some minor leaders, some bigger leaders, some really cool people, so many people, cool people in that room, you know,
Mhm.
and they're all going to be
Mm.
cool at some level. They're going to have some skill where you can utilize them. And so that's in a nutshell is the 80-20 principle. And then there's I could tell you too about like how I would look at your business.
Yeah. Yeah. Tell us how you look at the business in the 80-20 principle.
Yeah, that's right. With the 80-20 principle, you look at your business and you go, okay, so there's 100% of the things I need to do, right? But let's just say that there's 80% that is, you know, that has to get done. Maybe there's a few things that are just don't need to be done, but there's a few, but those have to be done, but they're really not things that really move the needle in the business. They're not key. They have to be there because if you get rid of them, well, that could be a serious problem, right? But maybe you could give those to somebody else because if they're not your passion and what you love, maybe you could give those to somebody else and they could do it, right? But then there's the 20% key things in a business. Like I know in my business, great customer service is incredible, providing incredible people, which we really do by really vetting people and testing them and training them. And then also sales and marketing, right? These are areas that are key in my business that I need help with. So I've got a
Mhm.
whole staff that work with me to make sure those things get done in my business. And I started with one,
Right.
right? I don't like to make, I don't know about you, but I don't like to do cold calling. I won't do it. I
Yeah.
used to do it. I don't like to do it because when I get into it, you can pretty much, I do like to do it when I sit down, but I don't like to do it when I'm distracted with other things that really need to get done too. And so I'd rather be in sales interviews. So I had
Yeah.
somebody, the first job I got is I gave somebody else the work of getting my lead generation done for me.
Mhm.
Or I had some marketing tasks, right?
Right.
So I got a virtual assistant, and then my whole marketing company was built with freelancers and remote personnel, and that's the only way I've ever done it. And so I have a whole company that's like these remote personnel that are my staff that I utilize. They're incredible people that I've chosen through great recruitment practices. And I've put in positions key people, right, to expand this business and make it into what it is, what it was and is today, Stampede branding. And then it evolved, right? All of a sudden we started getting so big, we went, you know what? People need what we're doing with our business. So we took our best people and created another company called Team Builders, which is what we're here talking about,
Mhm.
Team Builders Agents. And we created a business where now we could find great people for others
Right.
and we
Build
could help
others
them
people's teams.
build other people's teams. And basically, we help them to put in place these teams for themselves who can do these key things or take some of those mundane or less important things or things you just don't want to do or things you shouldn't do or things you don't like to do or things you don't know how to do and give it to a virtual assistant because you'd be
Mhm.
surprised. There are many who know how to do things that I don't know how to do.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know
Right.
QuickBooks inside now. My wife
You're
does,
right.
but I have assistants. Yeah, exactly. It's just not my
Right.
thing.
Well, books is definitely like a whole other learning system, right? And it's also like the left brain, right brain, right? So I'm not a QuickBooks person either.
Yeah,
But what I'm
that's
hearing you say is you want to think about the people you want to hire who will replace the things you don't like to do and replace the things that you don't really know how to do, then they know how to do it.
right.
So those are the people you
Yeah,
want to hire.
or things you shouldn't be doing. Like, I should not
Right.
be doing phone calls or lead generation. I need somebody to put me into on the calendar and basically with somebody to meet with because that's valuable time. This
Mhm.
is valuable time. But I
Right.
had an assistant reach out to you
Yeah.
to arrange this meeting. And you probably have an assistant too.
Yeah. Yeah. We have a few assistants and a team
Yeah, me too.
to help us with our
I
book
got a whole team
publishing.
of assistants.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But back in the day, in the first couple years, that was just me and my business partner doing everything. And it really was a relief when you
Yeah.
got some of it off the table, right? Because then we could focus on the things
Yeah.
that are
And
important, like networking and relationships and community.
that's right. Yeah, it's funny because I agree. I agree completely. You got to do what you got to do. You can't give everything away when you begin to begin with. But day one, I sold something, and then I got an expert who I hired, who then did the delivery for me. They basically wrote the website, created the website that I sold, and I didn't do that
Hmm.
because I just went and talked to the next person who needed a website.
Hmm.
While that person was busy, I might have done some customer service work, but eventually I even turned over the customer service work to an expert. I'll sign the person up, I'll take care of them, I'll check in, make sure everything's going great. If I've handed over to my customer service person, who's one of my virtual assistants, or I handed over to my website person, who's one of my virtual assistants, and the copywriter, all these people that do different jobs. And I mean, it's funny because I kind of think that I'm everybody's assistant, but then everybody is my assistant too.
Right. Right. You have to assist your assistants pretty much.
You know,
It's good.
I, my customers,
And your
for
customers.
the,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly.
So tell us a little bit more about your branding agency and what exactly you do there.
Stampede branding, we do websites, sales funnels, pay-per-click advertising. We do all the standard things. I guess our big thing is that we really care about results. It's results first.
Mhm.
We start with the end in mind.
Mhm.
We think about the end result at the end that we're going for, and we think it backwards. And we can do the branding for people and everything. It's funny, we have virtual assistants over at our other company, Team Builders, who can do many of those tasks too. So it depends on whether they need my time or an expert or one of my expert chief financial or chief marketing officers, fractional marketing officers who are going to help them. It really depends on what they need exactly. It depends on what company will help them. We do LinkedIn appointment setting. We do podcast guesting, getting people onto podcasts like we did here with me, getting me onto this one. We help people with podcast production. We even get involved in, some book items marketing wise. We partner with people like you, like a publisher, right? Which is like, it'd be great for them to have one. We'd work with you to help your clients. And
Mhm.
anyway, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that's a lot of really great stuff. When do you think a business owner should jump on podcasts and why do you think it's beneficial for them to do that? Be interviewed?
Yeah. I mean, the sooner you can, the better. It's like, I mean, you should give away your knowledge. It's beneficial because, it's funny to say it's beneficial because you give away your knowledge. I don't know if I want to give away all my knowledge. No, give it away because then what'll happen is that you're the expert and they don't necessarily want to take the time to do it. They need a team.
Mhm.
They can't necessarily, they may not like to do it. They maybe not know how to do it. They maybe shouldn't be doing it. It might not, one of those things, and now you're giving away your knowledge. So you're giving somebody an opportunity to work with you and you can be their assistant,
Mhm.
and Mike or your company. And so they should, by educating people through podcasts, that's how it gets done.
Yeah.
One of the ways.
I always tell our authors they're worried about giving it all away in the podcast so no one will go buy the book. And they don't understand how people consume content is different for every person. And some people will listen to a podcast. You pretty much are telling most of everything that's in the book or giving you at least little tidbits, but then that interests them and
Yeah,
want to go buy the book. And maybe they are only an audio person, so they're going to go get your audiobook. Or maybe they are a visual person. They listen to the podcast where they're driving. Now they're going to go buy the book and get the hardcover and, hold the
right.
hardcover. So everyone consumes content differently. And we
Yeah,
have to remember that we have to listen to something, all humans, like 3 or more times for it to stick. So so if you're telling it on a podcast and then it's in the book and then it's on your website, that's a good thing, right?
yeah, yeah. And then it's maybe, like I have one guy, this client retention guy, the book that I showed you. I mean, I read one of his books. I've got him on audio. I don't know if I have the Kindle version, but I probably will get the Kindle version. I got the paperback version. And then he's also got an online course for the book, which I'm in the middle of doing. And I mean, he's got a free one and a paid one,
Mhm.
right? And I'm going to probably the free one first. And then when I'm done with that, I'm probably going to pay for the paid one and do that next. So it's like, I mean, yeah, that's what it's all about.
Yeah, retaining all
Yeah.
that information.
Yeah. Learn it, study it, go over it multiple times, retain it, put it to
Yeah,
use.
right. Well, what would be the first step if someone wanted to hire a virtual assistant with team builders?
Just call me maybe, I could give my number. So I guess call me or set an appointment with me would be the first step. Set a schedule. I mean, I can even share my scheduling link, so that people can schedule for it with me. But I mean, if we sit down, we talk about getting a virtual assistant, that would be fantastic. I'd love to chat about it. You could also download my book, 249 Things That a Virtual Assistant Can Do for You. And, that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I'll
So,
link
I
that
mean,
up in the show notes. And
yeah, and I
and
just gave you my calendar link too,
okay,
so you could
that up
share
in there
that.
too. Well, and
Yeah,
it
and
sounds like you help them to come up with what they need because instead of just going to a website and clicking a button, they actually get to talk to you. You can help them with their business and understand what type of virtual assistant they may need.
yeah, because you know what part of the business I like to do the most?
The talking relationships.
Yeah, that's right. You're
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Me too. I call that a relator. I'm a relator. So I think
Yeah,
you
that's
are
right.
too.
I enjoy people. I like talking to them. I enjoy, I enjoy stories about people. My wife's a writer. I helped her. I grew my company and used virtual assistants to grow my company. So my wife could live her dream of becoming a full-time writer. And we can even share her link in there. I mean,
Yeah.
she writes Regency historical romance. She came to me one day and she said, I want to be a writer. I said, great, let's do it. Because I love books and she's awesome. I love her. And so I said, let's figure it out. She took a year, wrote her first book, wrapped up her job, left them in great shape too, and then became a full-time writer. And she's been a full-time writer now for well over 2 years. And she just wrote book number 9. She's getting ready to write book number 10.
Awesome.
Last month she cracked 8 grand is what she made,
Mm-hmm.
and so, and and then she's ready to start scaling. She's got more books to release this coming year. It's going to be great.
Awesome. That's really exciting.
She's got
Well,
two
we'll put
versions.
every
She's
yeah.
got two so far.
Yeah, that's good. Well, we'll put all that stuff up in the show notes. If you guys want to hire a VA or if you're looking for branding for web design and funnels and all of those marketing things that you need, contact Barry. We'll put his links up in the show notes. Thank you so much, Barry, for being on the show today.
Thank you. It's great. It's awesome.
Awesome. If anyone would like to publish or
Uh,
write their book, contact us at eliteonlinepublishing.com and we'll see you on the next one.
Hey, are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.